you and I want her to say that I was with ya, still be with ya. Now ain't that some shit? And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. You, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't afford a Ferrari, but that don't mean I can't get you there. I guess she's an Xbox, and I'm more Atari. About the way you play your game, man. I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oh, she's golden. Well, just go to she golden. I got some news for you. Yeah, go to run tell your little boy. See you drive around town, the girl I love in my life. But you, I guess the chance with my pocket wasn't enough. I like you and I fuck what you said that I was with ya, and still be with ya. Oh, ain't that some shit? And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. You. Now I know I had to borrow, begging, stealing, lying, cheat, trying to keep you, trying to please ya. Just being in love with your ass ain't cheap. Now I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oh, she's golden. Well, just don't you know. Ooh, I got some news for you. Ooh, I really hate your ass right now. See you right now, child, the girl I love in my life. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I like you and I fuck her to say that I was with ya, still be with ya. Now ain't that some shit? And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. You. Now, baby, 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 why you wanna hurt me so bad? So bad, so bad, so bad. I tried to tell my mama, but she told me this is one for your dad. Yeah, she did. No, I know. Why? Baby? I love you. I still love you. You and I fuck her to say that I was with ya, but still be with ya. Now ain't that some shit? And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. You.
Good morning, everybody. This is the Prince Pierre 9.5 live show. You already know it's always the right time to come on with the game show. When we stay on the G code around here, we always alkaline and in the game. We always game first in the game. And that man you see at Avatar, man, is the spirit inspiring the Prince Pierre, which is alkaline, pimping no flesh, high self controls lower self beyond the flesh. Kill that situation, destroys the body and the mind. You already know, baby, it's always game up for game day. Keeping our game tight for game night, you know? Man. I hope everybody had a lovely, lovely Sunday. I hope everybody's gonna hopefully have a monstrous Monday, man, where they're gonna get ready to start accomplishing their goals today for the week, right? Well, what I come to do to y'all on this brief upload is to talk about something, you know, in the National Football League and talk Can a defensive player win a NFL MVP in the modern game? You know, I think we all remember. I think we all heard. We'll say heard of 1986's Lawrence Taylor when he won the NFL MVP. So what we gonna do, man? We just gonna go on show screen, and we're gonna go on and go to that. Just go to that year, just for this game, you know, and just kind of pretty much show you, what's really going on. Um, you know. So let's go. Let's go to Lawrence Taylor. So that Lawrence Taylor right there, right? Let's look up on his wiki, and let's find when he won the NFL MVP. Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor's accomplishments. Let's see, NFL career. Now here we go right here, man. Two-time Super Bowl champion, most valuable player award, 1986. Yep, that's the last time a defensive player won an MVP award in the league. So we just had to show him right quick. Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor right there. Yeah. Along with so we'll go back uh to the stream. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, you know, won the NFL MVP award in that season. But we need to look up the statistics and see what he did to win the award that year, right? So we need to go back. Okay. So let's see where he won it at. So we're gonna go down here to, Pro Football Reference. It should be on there. But we'll just Lawrence Taylor, Pro Football Reference. All right, Pro Football Reference. Let's see what he did in '86. That would gave him that MVP award. Okay, so he had 20 and a half sacks that year. Yeah, he had 20 and a half sacks. How many forced fumbles he had? They're not showing that. He just had 20 and a half sacks that year. That's what he had. Yeah, 20 and a half sacks. So we kind of see that was probably unprecedented back then. The '86 Giants, they won a Super Bowl that year. Uh, they were the champions in '86. We can see that they was 14-2, led by their defense, because they only scored 230. They only allowed 136 points, 135 points that year. So yeah, that was dominant defense. They went 14-2 that year. Had home field throughout the NFC playoffs. So, and you know who they beat in the Super Bowl? They beat the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, they went 11-5 that year. So that's what we found out about that year. So we kind of see the precedent back then was set with 20 and a half sacks. So what would a defensive player would have to do? Stop sharing. What do you think a defensive player would have to do to be able to win an NFL MVP in today's game? I know I don't want to hear that it'll never be one. That ain't the question. The question is, what does an NFL defensive player in today's game, what kind of statistics do he would have to be able to win a full NFL MVP? Not Defensive Player of the Year, but NFL MVP. And usually NFL MVP is going to who? Going to the wide receiver. I mean, going to the offensive player, right? They also got Offensive Player of the Year, also NFL MVP. Okay, the last non-quarterback to win an NFL MVP was in 2012 with Adrian Peterson. You know, Adrian Peterson with his fantastic year. We'll go on and pull him up too, just to show you what Adrian Peterson did. So we just pull him up. So we got that right. So we'll pull him up. And then we'll also pull up. You find the retired, huh? So we won MVP in 2012, which is called the AP MVP, and he won that, right? So he won it in 2012. In 2012, he had 2,097 yards off 348 carries, 12 touchdowns. He averages 6 yards per carry. He averaged 131 yards per game. I remember that game because he almost broke the record, which is the all-time single season rushing record, which is held by Eric Dickerson. You want to see that? You go pull him up. Eric Dickerson, and his there it was, which is 2105, and you see that Adrian Peterson was 2,097. So he basically was 9 yards away from breaking the record. He was well 8. Yeah. Yeah, he was 8 for tying it, 9 for breaking the record. Because they both averaged 131 in the 16 game schedule. So we see that was the last time Adrian Peterson was the last time to win the MVP award. But let's just see. We know who won the MVP award last year was your boy. And what was his name? Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers won. He done won 4 MVP awards. In his last year when he won an MVP award was in 2021. He threw for 4,100 yards. He had 37 touchdowns, only 7 picks. You understand me? He had that. So we kind of see, that really wasn't that damn. He gonna throw 48 touchdowns a year before and didn't get the MVP. Did he win MVP that year too? He had to. Yeah, that's what they got. Yeah, so he don't want back-to-back MVP awards. Probably need to pull up the MVP awards, see what's going on here. Sometimes they pull them up. But yeah, he won. He first team All Pro. Yeah, he first team All Pro. So yeah, he don't won AP back-to-back years. God damn. Yeah, I know I've been slipping in my motherfucking football pimping. Yeah, back-to-back MVP awards. And he won it again in 2014. Had 38 touchdowns, and he won it in 2011 after his Super Bowl win. I remember that year, and they went 14-1, and they lost to the Giants in the doggone divisional round too, and they turned around and he had 45, and you see that he has single-digit interceptions in those years. I think he only got one Um, oh no, he had 4 picks. He had 5 picks. Aaron Rodgers do not throw interceptions at all. They got 449 touchdowns. But we just seen precedent. That's pretty much a quarterback award, right? So, but our question here today is is our question here today: Will can a defensive player win an NFL MVP? And what does he have to do to win an NFL MVP? So, what kind of year that you would have to have? So, we've seen some crazy stats last year. Um, we've seen some crazy stats last year, and we've seen a corner, had 11 interceptions, but he was nowhere near. I don't even think he won Defensive Player of the Year. So I don't even think he was Defensive Player of the Year, right? Okay. So the top sack leaders last year was 22 sacks last year by T.J. Watt, and he was nowhere getting the MVP award. You know, then you had Quinn with 18, you had Miles Garrett with 16, and you had that, right? So we need to get top sack. Um, so we know that Michael Strahan had the most sacks in the season. Now T.J. Watt broke that. T.J. Watt tied that record. Michael Strahan. T.J. Watt had it in 21, so he tied it. So you see that the sacks, 2014 was Justin Houston, Jared Allen in 2011, Garcino, you know, and Dolman. So Reggie White had 21 sacks in 1987. So you just see that the most sacks is TJ's tied up. So nobody broke the record yet. Okay. And then we need to look at cornerbacks, so it's interceptions. So we see that in career. All right. So we see that Night Train Lane at 14 interceptions. That's the most interceptions in the season. Hayes had 13. So we had Spencer at 48, 79. Emmett Thomas had 12. Then come all the way down to 11, Tavon Diggs. So with that, so the most interceptions you can get in the regular season would be 14. I think Emerson Wiles, Mel Blount, Bradley Hall, Lee, Longshon, Jimmy Payton, so yeah, so Emerson Walls and Tavon Diggs. And Tavon Diggs just tied Emerson Walls in the Cowboy record books. So he just tied. Who cares, right? So what we see, somebody say, "Well, you on the Cowboys?" If you so ignorant and dumb, this guy did it. Now I know people be knocking this kid, but let's just say. So we gotta look at the top, right? So we look at the top sack guys. That the most sacks that didn't get the MVP. Then you also had Nitrate Lane. So now we gotta do a qualified multiplier on what gives you the MVP award. What gives you the MVP award in a season. So you see that if the quarterbacks pretty much have the best record in the league, okay, or you know what I'm saying, yeah, best record in the league, okay, look like you looked at Aaron Rodgers a couple of years, he throw 48 touchdowns, or you be like Patrick Mahomes, he throw how many other touchdowns he throw? He won MVP. You even seen, you know what I'm saying, that Lamar Jackson, we can look him up in his MVP run. And I think he threw like 35 touchdowns, and I think he scored like 12 touchdowns rushing. We see the same thing with Cam Newton. They had the best record in the league. And when he won it in 2015, I think he dang near had 50 touchdowns that he scored, passing and running. So if you do that, you'll win MVP that way. That's for an offensive player. So you pretty much had to have the best record in the league lately, but it is some outliers in that because of Adrian Peterson's year. He just almost rushed for 2,000, almost broke a record. So that's the reason why he won MVP because he almost broke a record. I think that you had Chris Johnson back in the day where he had a couple of holding penalties in his season where it knocked him from almost shattering the dang record. I think that was back in 2008 or nine or something like that. Um, Something like that. He rushed for 2,000 yards. I might be now because he got drafted in '08. So he got drafted in '08. So it had to be at least 2011. I think when he did it. So that's one out of MVP. So what can you do for any defensive player to get it? Look like what I'm gonna give you a stat line that I think that'll get a corner that and a pass rusher that and a linebacker can get it too, but pass rusher, linebacker, this is what it have to be. All right. And the team success. So that's kind of the three things criteria, either record breaking, record setting year, team success with the best record in the league, things like that. So in today's game, what would an NFL player have to do to be able to win the NFL MVP as defensive player in the league? I think first of all, if you're Michael Parsons or you a pass rusher, this is what you have to do, in my opinion. This is what you have to do, in my opinion. So I already see that you have to break the sack record if you're a pass rusher. That's the first criteria you got to do, just to even put yourself in the position to be looked at. And also, just like Lawrence Taylor did, they had the number one defense. They only yielded 135 points, and he had 20 and a half sacks. He was an impact player, so that was disruption. Teams couldn't even score any points on the board because if you did 135, if you even did 135. So 135 points divided by 16. They only yielded 8 points per game that year in 1986. Only 8 points a game. Do you see what I'm talking about right now, people? Hmm? That's what the 86, that's what the 86 uh, New York Giants, that's all they gave up in 1986. So that's one. So, and it was 14-2. So it has to yield team success, an astounding team success, almost a record breaking defense. I don't know. I think the 2000 Ravens, I'm going to look them up just for the game. I think the 2000 Ravens, uh, I think the 2000 Ravens. So we look up Baltimore Ravens. We look up the 2000 Ravens. The 2000 Ravens. This is what we want. We want the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, baby. Okay? So they won a Super Bowl. So we looked them up. The 2000 Ravens. So we want to look up their defense. And see how many points did they give up. They should add it up there, though. Hmm. Hold up. Let me see. I'm looking up damn team comparisons. Shit, where's the damn points at? Points allowed. Okay, I think that should be right there. Defense. Y'all bullshit, man. Y'all should have that right on the board. Oh, there they go. So they gave up 165 points. So actually, yeah, 165 points given up. So actually, defense is not people. People talks about the Baltimore Ravens defense. I'm sorry to tell you. So we need to go back to the calculator again. Now I'm not gonna have that. People, they had the best record in them. Okay, man. So we go back. Come on, man. 165. They gave up 10 points. So technically, the 86 New York Football Giants, it, pretty much in that season should go down as the greatest defense of all time. They only gave up 8. They only gave 135 points. So I see that sometimes we have conjecture. That's why you gotta go back and do your research on these people. People goddamn me forgets. And a lot of people don't talk about the 86 Giant defense at all. They don't talk about it at all. It's like a team that they don't even regard in the league. They'll get out here, man, and start talking about, now we just show you game over here. People just get out here and talk about everything. But let's just get to it. Now we done pretty much showed you all the statistics, showed you how pretty much what you got to do to win. How Lawrence Taylor won the MVP. He had pretty much one of the greatest defenses of all time. You might consider the greatest defense of all time. They won a Super Bowl, went 14-2. You know what I'm saying? It dominated. Pretty much dominated the whole year. They had the best record in the league. They won nothing but defense. You know, we already know about the other team. You know what I'm talking about? The 2000 Bucks. Two not 2000, 2000 and what? 2 Bucks. We'll look them up just to get it, because this is about defensive players winning MVP award, people. So we got to look up one more time. So we gotta look it up. We can't forget them. You can't forget them, right? So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where you at, Mr. Tampa Bay? I know you way at the bottom, you know what I'm saying, because you're a T. So let's go on over here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's look up the 2002 Bucks. They won Super Bowl that year, right? So 2002 Bucks. Can we give it to us? All right. Can we get the 2002 Bucks? Let me see, man. Tampa Bay. Okay, boy, y'all full of shit, man. Go back. Can we get 2002 Bucks, man? All right, 2002 Bucks. They gave up almost 200 points. 200 points, right? And they got them at only giving up 12.3 points per game. So everybody said, well, who had the better defense? And people always used to ask who had the better defense out of. They won defensive player of the year that year too. Somebody won defensive player of the year. I need to find out who won defensive player of the year that year. It might have been Derrick Brooks. Take that back. Probably been Derrick Brooks won defensive player of the year. I think that's who won it too, and I think that did. We'll pull him up. There's no fucking problem. Let me see. Derrick Brooks. Yeah, let's look up Derrick Brooks. Yep, defensive player of the year. He won defensive player of the year that year. Yes, he did. So you kind of see when you have a top defense, you're gonna have defensive player of the year. Um, all that. So we've been breaking all of it down for you, all of it down. So let's move on into it, and let's move on. So you see how 8 points, you had 10 points, and you had 12 points. Them probably the top, you know what I'm saying, defenses in the league, right? Of all time, people kind of rate the 2000 and 2002 Bucks. They like to put them in the top defenses ever, right? And then you want to turn around and so you have to definitely put in the 86 New York Football Giants as pretty much the top. So they only yielded 8 points that year, had a 14-2 record, 29 sacks by Lawrence Taylor, elevated him to getting the NFL MVP award that year, right? Now you can go back and look at what offensive players do. It really doesn't matter. They dominated that year. They dominated that year. So now let's get into what today's player. So we showed you J.J. Watt had 22 and a half sacks when he was considered for the MVP award because their team didn't have success. They didn't have the best record in the AFC last year. Then you got Dallas. You had another guy. You had another leader. He led the league in interceptions last year, but that ain't enough interceptions with 11. So what we're going to do is break down on what a corner have to do to get an MVP award, what a linebacker slash pass rusher got to do to win the award. So we'll start off with a pass rusher slash linebacker, right? I think that if a linebacker comes, and it's a 17 game schedule. So for linebacker, let's just use Michael Parsons as an example. All right. He's probably a combination of a little bit of some Ray. He's a combination of some LT. You know what I'm saying, on the lower level side of the game. So he can cover. He can play inside linebacker. He can play outside linebacker. He can also rush the passer. So he's a triple threat back there. He's a triple threat, right? And he can catch. He can force fumbles. He can hit. So he's pretty much what you want in a linebacker. I understand he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, but if anybody had the opportunity to get hands on Michael Parsons, I think all 32 teams, all other 31 teams, excluding the Dallas Cowboys, already got his rights and already got his employment that employ him, pretty much would want Michael Parsons. So this is what Michael Parsons have to do in a season, right? Dallas Cowboys to be considered. Now, for him to even win an MVP in Dallas would be hard because whatever record Dallas has, people is not going to take them seriously until they do something in the tournament. So, but NFL MVP is a regular season award, so it's not a postseason award. So let's throw that out. So here we go. And this is just an example. He would have to have, to me, I think for a defensive player that rushes the passer, okay, he need to have, to me, if it's 22 sacks, he needs 30 sacks, 20 to almost 28 to 30 sacks. That's the first statistic he gonna have to have. Okay, if he's a pass rusher, all right, and then he need to have almost about. So if he got 30 sacks, he need 15 forced fumbles. Yeah, need half of them forced fumbles, right? And half of those need to resort into five of those need to resort into scoops and scores. Okay. On top of that, on top of those 30 sacks, he need to get and his 15 forced fumbles. He also gonna need to also have a couple of interceptions, probably no more than three, no less than four. Two of them, he take one to the house. So what happens? What he has done is he pretty much turn that defense into an offensive defense where they can also score points. That defense also, if he could rate it pretty much 6 touchdowns, he need another 5 to 6 touchdowns. So their total defense with him at the helm, they done scored almost 12 to 13 touchdowns on their own in the season. They also need to be, and the defense also need to be a number one defense. Okay, that's number one defense. They ain't got to shut nobody down. Only 135 points. They got to have number one defense. Means they don't give up. They don't, they're number one against the run. Okay, and they top six or top seven against the pass. But if you forcing fumbles and shit, and you getting sacks, you're gonna be pretty much shutting the passing game down. Because some statistics even use sacks that takes down on some people's yardage, but they sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Right? Because you intend to pass the ball. So it should be negative passing yards. Okay? So that's how a defensive player would have to win it. We ain't worrying about tackles. He might have 80, 90 tackles, something like that. But for a defensive player at the pass rushing position, would have to have 30 sacks, 15 forced fumbles that generate into five scooping scores. He plus, you know, you know, five scooping scores. And plus, if he's a linebacker and he covering a little bit in some scheme, he pick out four passes. He take one for a touchdown. Okay, that would do it. Now let's look at a pure linebacker. What would he have to do? Say a C.J. Mosley type of guy or a Roquan Smith type of guy. What would he have to do? Well, kind of exact things. This is what he would have to do if he's going to play linebacker. He's got to have over 150 tackles. Okay, he's going to have to pretty much be able to get 15 sacks. Yes, he's going to get 15 sacks. He's going to have to get almost 8 to 9 interceptions. He's going to have to return four of them. He's going to have about 8 to 9 forced fumbles. Yes, he got about 8 interceptions. I stated he's going to have to just score on four of them, half of them. He's going to have to force about 7 forced fumbles. There's going to have to be 3 scooping scores. It's going to have to result to 8 touchdowns. He's going to have to pretty much put his hands on or account for 8 touchdowns. They still got to have a number one defense. Now, if he's a linebacker, they probably got to have a number one defense. And also, they got to have the best record in the league. It's implied that if you a defensive player, your team is going to have the best record in the league. You're going to have to be shutting people out. You're going to have to be doing a whole lot of things. That's how a defensive player could put himself in position to win MVP, as far as a linebacker concerned. Let's go to cornerback. Now, what would a corner have to do to actually be it? Now, he's going to probably have to do a combination of punt returning, okay, and covering, right? Kind of a little Dionish, but it's going to have to be kind of crazy to even do it. Probably even do some kickoff return as well. Okay. Yeah, the corner gonna have to do some kickoff return. He gonna have to do some punt return, and he gonna have to play zone. So what he gonna have to have a Tavon Diggs type of interception year. But to me, he's gonna have to break the record that was held by Curse back in the day. That's held by Paul Curse. It wasn't Paul Curse. Whoever it was, I go look it up. He's gonna have to have 15 interceptions. Let's just say he got interception per game. 17 and 16, say 16 interceptions. He returned half them some bitches for touchdowns. He got 8 touchdowns on returns. Okay. He turned around. He done forced probably about 6 fumbles. Because somebody do catch it and run. He come back and he knocked the ball out. Okay. That results in a couple of 2 scoops and scores. So now he done resulted in the 10 points, 10 touchdowns scored. Now he's a punt returner. Okay. He's a punt returner. He's gonna have to say he have 3 punt return touchdowns. So now he got 11. So now he got 8. So now he don't return 8 interceptions back for touchdowns. He got 3 punt return touchdowns, so he got 11. And then he does kickoff also, and he ends up having, say, 2 kickoff returns. So that put him at what? That put him at 13 touchdowns he scored that year. So he got basically have 16 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He got to have pretty much 5 forced fumbles. You know what I'm saying? So he came basically account for almost 14 of 15 touchdowns because he don't cause 4 forced fumbles. You see. Well, that's impossible. I understand it's impossible, but I'm giving you a scenario on how a defensive player could win the MVP, dumb nigga. All right. So, and that's pretty much it. And plus, he ain't got to have the best record in the league. Okay. They need to have. They don't have to have number one defense because he's the corner. You know what I'm saying? They don't really actually need that. They just need to have be in the top 10. But his accomplishments and what he done as a corner, as what he did as cornerback play, kickoff return, punt return. He does all that. That can get you deep, a defensive player can win an NFL MVP. All right. So that concludes uh, this game show. Prince Pierre 9.5 Live gave you a good scenario on how a defensive player can win MVP. I know it's saying that's preposterous. Well, it's not because I gave you say 30 sacks, 15 forced fumbles. Well, he's getting back there half the time. So if he getting back to third time, I mean he need to be slapping that ball out. You see that the high sack total is 22, so you got to get 8 plus more sacks. Okay, you need to force the fumbles. You need to score on a quarter of them, on 30% of them, and then all that. Then the corner need to be able to take pretty much half of them back to the house. He need to pretty much. We could say half. We could say if he take 5 back to the house out of 16, and then he have 3 kickoff. He have 3. He have 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, 3 punts for touchdowns. That put him at right there at 10 touchdowns for the season that he done scored. That'll put him in position. But the bottom line to winning an MVP award on the defensive side of football, your team has to be the number one team in the league, okay, in your conference, probably in the league. You got a lot of primetime games on. People be able to see you put these numbers up. And at the end of the day, that's how you win NFL MVP. Anybody got any comments saying I'm talking crazy? Hey, man, that's just somebody that brought up last week about can Michael Parsons win. I'm not into that, but we can talk about how any defensive player can win the NFL MVP award. So I hope everybody enjoyed the talk today. Know what this show is? This is the Prince Pierre 9.5 live show. Anytime we come on, it's the right time. This is the game show. Anybody that comes here and listen to this live stream, thank you for visiting the game via Texas, home of the game show, where we on A1, we on the G code around here, and we always G1, game first, alkaline first, game first, baby. And hey, hope everybody enjoys their day. And as we conclude this show, As we conclude this show, we're gonna let y'all go.
I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I like fuck you and I fuck her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. Like that's some shit. And although that's weird in my chest, I still wish you the best. Fuck you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't afford a Ferrari. But that don't mean I can't get you there. I guess he's an Xbox, and I'm more Atari. About the way you play your game, yeah. I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oops, she's a gold. Well, just you know. Ooh, I got some news for you. Yeah, go on and tell your little boy free. See you turn down, down with the girl I know. And I fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I like fuck you and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's weird in my shirt, I still wish you the best. Fuck you. Now I know I had to borrow, begging, stealing, lying, cheat, trying to keep you, trying to please ya. Was being in love with your ass and cheap. Now I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oops, she's a gold. Well, just you know. Ooh, I got some news for you. Ooh, I really hate your ass right now. See you running down, down with the girl I know, and I'm like, fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I like, fuck you and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's weird in my shirt, I still wish you the best. Fuck you. Now, baby, why I wanna hurt me so bad? So bad, so bad, so bad. I tried to tell my mama, but she told me this is one for your dad. Yes, she did. And I'm like, why? 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 I love you. I still love you. You and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's weird in my shirt, I still wish you the best. Fuck you.